I'm 27, female, and the eldest in my family. We're a middle-class crew, not flashy, but we've always had enough. My parents, Lisa and Mark, own a charming bakery that's been a town favorite for over 2 decades. Growing up, we weren't wealthy, but we were comfortable, thanks to my parents' hard work. They instilled that same work ethic in me and my younger brother, Jake, who's 25 and the family's golden child. For context, Jake has always been the apple of my parents' eyes. He could mess up in school, or barely try, and they'd still sing his praises. I never minded much. I'm not one for attention. I was happy to focus on my own path, avoiding drama and chasing my goals. Jake could shine all he wanted. It didn't faze me. Until now. Here's where it all begins. 5 years ago, my grandpa passed away. We were tight, and his death hit hard. When his will was read, I learned he'd left me a trust fund. It's not a fortune, but it's enough to make a real difference if I use it wisely. There's a catch, though. I can't touch it until I'm 30, and it's restricted to things like buying a home or furthering my education. I didn't dwell on it much at first. I'm not one to splurge, so I planned to let it sit until I was ready to buy a small place in the city or launch my dream business. Fast forward to this year. Jake got engaged to his girlfriend Emily, who's 26 and comes from a well-to-do family. Emily's the kind of person who lights up a room, charismatic, polished, and loved by all. I liked her at first too, but things took a strange turn. It started at a family dinner a few months back. Out of the blue, Emily brought up my trust fund in this cheerful, offhand way that threw me off. She asked what I planned to do with all that money once I could access it. I muttered something about maybe getting an apartment or starting a business. Isn't that kind of personal? What was I supposed to say? Emily flashed a bright smile and said, "That's so fortunate. You know, Jake and I could use some help with our wedding or maybe a house down payment." Jake gave an awkward laugh like he wasn't sure if she meant it. I chuckled too, thinking it was a joke, but she kept staring at me like she expected me to nod along. It was so uncomfortable. My parents stepped in, saying the money was mine to decide on, and that seemed to close the topic for the night. But after that dinner, I couldn't shake the odd feeling. It was like Emily had dropped a hint, and it was about to grow into something bigger. Over the next few weeks, she kept bringing it up at every family gathering. This isn't just about Emily anymore. My whole family feels like it's unraveling over this trust fund mess. After that awful lunch where Jake and Emily asked for half the money, I thought my clear refusal would settle things. I was wrong. My parents called wanting to talk. My dad's overly calm tone raised red flags, but I went anyway. When I arrived, Jake and Emily were on the couch, looking like they'd rehearsed for a board meeting. My mom asked me to sit, and I knew this was no casual chat. It was an intervention. They started with small talk, asking about my job, but soon got to the point. My mom said, "We've all felt the strain lately, Mia. We just want to find a way to fix it." I braced myself. My dad added, "A compromise could help." "Compromise?" I asked, already irritated. "What does that mean?" Jake leaned in, looking uneasy. "We respect your plans for the trust fund, Mia. But Emily and I are struggling with wedding costs and our future. A little help from you would mean a lot." Emily jumped in. "Exactly. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a gesture to show you care. It's about family, not just money." That word family felt like a jab. I took a deep breath. "I've said it before, the money's not accessible and I have my own plans. I'm not giving it up." My dad shifted uncomfortably. "We're not asking for half, Mia, but maybe a small amount could ease the family tension." I stared at him. "So I'm supposed to give away money I can't even touch to fix tension I didn't create?" Jake sighed, like I was the problem. "Hey, friends. I'm back sooner than I thought because things have gotten way worse. I feel stuck in this absurd drama with no escape. Here's what's happened since my last post. After Emily called me selfish, I noticed a shift in how everyone acted. It was subtle at first. Emily's tight smiles at family events, Jake growing distant, and even my parents acting off, despite their peacemaking efforts. Then Emily got bolder. She started cornering me at every family gathering, always about the trust fund. Once, While everyone was distracted watching a game, she pulled me aside and said, "Mia, what if you gave us part of the trust fund as a wedding gift? Not the whole thing, just enough for a house deposit." I couldn't believe it. A wedding gift? Who even asks that? I repeated that the money wasn't accessible yet, and I had my own plans anyway. She gave me a look like I'd kicked a kitten and said, "I thought you valued family. Jake and I are building a life, and this would mean so much. You don't even need it now." I was speechless. Her entitlement was next level. I walked away, drained. But she didn't stop. Over the next few weeks, Emily framed it as a way to unite the family. She even called it an investment in our future together. I laughed at how absurd that sounded. What, was I supposed to expect a return? Jake was getting sucked in too. He wasn't demanding the money outright, but he'd say things like, "You're in a great spot, Mia. You could make a big difference for us." It felt like he was testing how far he could push me. I went to my parents again, hoping for backup, but their response stunned me. My mom said, "Emily's just trying to feel included, and Jake's had it tougher than you financially." Tougher? We grew up in the same house with the same opportunities. The only difference is I've saved and planned, while Jake hasn't. My dad added, "We're not saying you have to do it, Mia, but maybe consider it. Keeping things peaceful matters more than being right sometimes." Peaceful. That was their priority. The final straw was a lunch with Jake and Emily. I thought it was just a sibling catch-up, but it was a setup. After some wedding chatter, Emily leaned in and said, "What if you gave us half the trust fund? You'd still have plenty for yourself, and it would help us start our life stress-free." Half? I calmly repeated that the money wasn't accessible, and I wasn't giving any away. Emily's tone turned cold. She accused me of hoarding money that could benefit the whole family, saying it wasn't fair for me to keep it all. Jake chimed in, "I get your side, Mia, but Emily's not wrong. This could change everything for us." It felt like an ambush. I left, exhausted. Days later, my parents called me for a family meeting. I walked in to see Jake and Emily there, looking smug. My parents talked about resolving tension and keeping the family together. Then my dad said, "Maybe consider giving them a small portion, Mia. It would show you support them." I was floored. My own parents were pushing me to hand over my inheritance to appease Emily. I said no firmly and left. Since then, things have spiraled. Emily's been talking to extended family, spinning a story that's got aunts, uncles, and cousins texting me, calling me selfish, and urging me to do the right thing. I'm losing my mind. How did my whole family get roped into this? I've tried setting boundaries, but no one respects them. I'm even thinking about legal steps, but suing my family feels wrong. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Any advice? It's been a rough day. This isn't just about Emily anymore. My whole family feels like it's unraveling over this trust fund mess. After that awful lunch where Jake and Emily asked for half the money, I thought my clear refusal would settle things. I was wrong. My parents called wanting to talk. My dad's overly calm tone raised red flags, but I went anyway. When I arrived, Jake and Emily were on the couch, looking like they'd rehearsed for a board meeting. My mom asked me to sit, and I knew this was no casual chat. It was an intervention. They started with small talk, asking about my job, but soon got to the point. My mom said, "We've all felt the strain lately, Mia. We just want to find a way to fix it." I braced myself. My dad added, "A compromise could help." "Compromise?" I asked, already irritated. "What does that mean?" Jake leaned in, looking uneasy. "We respect your plans for the trust fund, Mia. But Emily and I are struggling with wedding costs and our future. A little help from you would mean a lot." Emily jumped in. "Exactly. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a gesture to show you care. It's about family, not just money." That word family felt like a jab. I took a deep breath. I've said it before, the money's not accessible and I have my own plans. I'm not giving it up. My dad shifted uncomfortably. "We're not asking for half, Mia, but maybe a small amount could ease the family tension." I stared at him. "So I'm supposed to give away money I can't even touch to fix tension I didn't create?" Jake sighed, like I was the problem. The lawyer advised documenting everything. texts, calls, conversations, to show a pattern of harassment. She also suggested a cease and desist letter if things didn't stop. I spent days saving every message. Emily's texts, Jake's guilt-tripping calls, even my mom's passive-aggressive comments. It felt strange, like I was building a case against my family, but I had no choice. Meanwhile, Emily kept at it, posting vague social media rants about selfish relatives and family drama. She didn't name me, but it was obvious. I started getting messages from old acquaintances asking what was going on. Then, a coworker pulled me aside, saying someone claiming to be family had called HR asking about my salary and finances. I had no proof it was Emily, but the timing was too perfect. I was horrified. I called my lawyer again, detailing the social media posts, calls, and HR incident. She said it was time for the cease and desist letter. It was professional but firm, outlining Emily's inappropriate behavior and warning of legal action if it continued. Sending it made me nauseous. I didn't want to escalate, but Emily left me no choice. Days later, Jake called, furious. "You sent a legal letter to my fiancé? Do you know how embarrassing this is?" I stayed calm. "Jake, Emily's been harassing me for weeks. She's crossed lines." He accused me of overreacting, saying, "She's just trying to get you to see her side." After weeks of being pressured, guilt-tripped, and painted as the bad guy, I decided to take action. I couldn't keep hoping this would resolve itself. The constant calls, texts, and judgment from family members were relentless. No one cared that the trust fund was locked until I'm 30 or that it had restrictions. They just saw dollar signs. The breaking point was a call from my cousin Sarah, one of the few family members in my corner. She told me Emily had been bad-mouthing me at family events, saying things like, "Mia doesn't care about family. It's sad she'd choose money over her brother." I was livid. Emily was manipulative, but this was a new low. Sarah also said Emily had been asking relatives about my finances, trying to dig up details on the trust fund and whether she could get to it. That crossed a line. I decided to consult a lawyer. I found an estate law specialist and laid out the whole story. She was appalled, saying Emily's actions, pressuring me, spreading rumors, and snooping, could be harassment. She confirmed the trust was airtight. Only I could access it at 30. That was a relief, but it didn't fix the immediate issue. "This is about family," I shot back. "If it's about family, why is she spreading lies and digging into my finances?" The call ended with him saying he needed time to cool off. Things have been quieter since. Emily stopped her social media posts, and I haven't heard from her directly, but my parents are livid about the lawyer. My mom said, "You didn't need to make this legal, Mia. You could have talked to us." I reminded her I'd tried, but they did nothing. I'm focused on protecting myself now, with everything documented and my lawyer ready if Emily tries anything else. I wish my family could see how much this hurts. Thanks for reading, Reddit. I'll update if more happens. The cease and desist letter worked at first. Emily went silent, and her social media rants stopped. For a moment, I thought things might settle, but my parents and Jake kept the tension alive. My mom called, her tone sharp. "Mia, that letter caused so much damage. Emily's mortified, and now everyone thinks our family's falling apart." I was exhausted. "Mom, Emily harassed me for weeks, spread lies, and snooped into my finances. What was I supposed to do?" She replied, "You could have handled it differently. Legal letters to family? That's not how we do things." I hung up, realizing they'd never take my side. Then everything exploded. Jake accidentally sent a group text, meant for Emily, to a family chat with me, our parents, and a few cousins. The messages revealed everything. He wrote, "I saw the texts you sent your friends about Mia and the trust fund. You've been bragging about getting the money this whole time?" He attached screenshots of Emily's messages to someone else, boasting, "Don't worry, Lisa and Mark will pressure Mia into giving it up. She's too weak to hold out." Another message mocked me. "Mia's obsessed with her little business idea. She doesn't see how selfish she's being. That money should have been shared with the family." Jake's next text read, "I can't believe you've been manipulating everyone, including me, for money that's not yours. This ends now." Seconds later, Jake realized his mistake and texted, Oh no, this wasn't meant for the group. I'm so sorry. Too late. The chat erupted. My mom wrote, "Emily, what's this? Is this true?" My dad added, "You said you wanted peace, Emily. Were you lying?" Emily replied, "This is out of context. I was venting about wedding stress. You're all misunderstanding." But no one was buying it this time. Jake stayed silent in the chat, but the damage was done. That evening, Jake called me, his voice shaky. "Mia, I'm so sorry. I meant to confront Emily privately, but I messed up and sent those texts to everyone." I was frustrated. "Jake, why didn't you speak up sooner? You defended her for months." He admitted, "I didn't realize how bad it was until I saw those messages on her phone. I was trying to handle it without blowing things up. I failed." His voice broke. "I let her manipulate me thinking it was for us. I'm sorry for everything." I sighed, torn between anger and sympathy. "Jake, I've been saying this for months. Emily didn't care about family. She wanted the money. I appreciate the apology, but it doesn't undo the hurt." He agreed and hung up. The fallout was swift. Sarah told me the family chat was buzzing for hours. Relatives who judged me started backtracking, seeing Emily's true intentions. Emily tried to save face, calling family members with excuses, claiming the texts were jokes or that I'd exaggerated everything. But the screenshots were too clear, and her stories didn't add up. Jake stayed quiet for a while, then called again, sounding defeated. I ended things with Emily. "I couldn't stay with someone who'd treat my family like that. I'm sorry I let it go this far." I replied, "I'm glad you see it now, Jake, but you need to figure out why you let her pull you in." Thanks for the support, Reddit. I'm not sure if Jake's done with Emily for good, but I'll update if anything else happens. I never imagined things would spiral this far, but I'm finally ready to move on. Emily didn't fade quietly. Sarah overheard her at a family event, blaming me. "This is all Mia's fault. If she'd just done what was right, none of this would have happened." I learned Emily's wedding plans collapsed. She canceled her fancy venue and returned her dream dress, unable to afford them without my trust fund. She'd banked on manipulating me to fund her vision, and when it failed, her world unraveled. Eventually, she vanished from social media and stopped attending family gatherings. It's a relief, but the damage lingers. My parents, rattled by the truth, started reaching out more. My dad admitted they'd mishandled things, and my mom, who'd defended Emily, finally apologized. "I'm sorry, Mia. I should have listened to you sooner." It's not perfect, but it's a step toward healing. I've set firm boundaries with Jake and my parents and cut Emily out completely. Jake, now single, apologized genuinely and started therapy to address his role in this. My parents also expressed regret for letting things escalate. Rebuilding trust will take time, but we're making progress. This ordeal taught me to stand up for myself, set boundaries, and prioritize my own peace. I'm finally free to focus on my future, my dreams of a business or a home. Thanks for sticking with me, Reddit. It's been a crazy journey, but I'm ready to leave it behind and move forward.